friends, this video on Morphology of Flowering Plants Part 4 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Let us now talk about the different parts of a root. Now, when we actually closely examine a root, we actually see that there are different portions into which a root can be divided. So here in this picture, you can actually have a close look of a root, how exactly it looks when you observe it very closely. So now this is how it looks like. So the different parts of a root are root cap, region of meristematic cavity, region of elongation, region of maturation, root hairs. So these are some of the different parts of a root. So let us quickly see what are these parts. So when I say root cap, which is the root cap? What is cap? Cap is something which you can say that it is like an outer covering to something. For example, we wear a cap on our head, right? So an external covering. So this cap of the root is this tip of the root. So you see a cap-like structure here. So this is nothing but the root cap. Next is the region of meristematic activity. So where is the region of meristematic activity? Just slightly above the root cap. Do you see this region where you can see a number of cells dividing and growing? So this region of active cell division is nothing but the region of meristematic activity. Third one is the region of elongation. So that region is basically this region. So this is the region of elongation. Fourth one is region of maturation. So where is the region of maturation? Again, slightly above this. So somewhere around this area. Basically, I am talking about this area. So this is the region of maturation. And the last one is root hairs. So these hair-like structures which you see, they are nothing but root hairs. So these are the different parts of root. Now as we go ahead, we will talk about each of these parts in detail. We will look at the purpose of each of these parts. So let us start our discussion with root cap. So we'll first talk about root cap. It is the covering of the root at apex. Now it is very simple to remember. Whenever you use the word cap, it is generally used to cover something. So it is the covering of the root at its tip. Talking about its shape, it is conical in shape. If you look at it, it looks like a cone, right? So conical shaped structure. What is its function? It ensures protection of root apex. Now since it covers something, so why do we cover anything? For example, it is always advised that you wear a helmet while riding a bike. Why? Because that helmet is a covering to your head. So it actually ensures protection to your head. So similarly here, this root cap ensures protection of the root tip from any external damages, right? So what happens is, now as the root goes deep into the soil, so the outer layers of the cap start wearing away. So when it keep on going inside the soil, these outer layers will undergo a lot of wear and tear. Now since that outer layer or since that cap is there, therefore nothing is damaging the actual root tip. So that means it protects the root tip. Now, whatever wear and tear happens on the layers of the root cap, they are gradually replaced by the apical cells, the cells which are present at the apex, the root apex. However, root cap is absent in floating plants because in floating plants, the roots are there on the water. So it is like they really don't need a root cap for so much of protection. So that is why it is absent in many of the floating plants. Let us next talk about the region of meristematic activity. What is meristematic activity? When I say meristematic activity, that means the activity where cell division takes place. That region is known as meristematic region. Right? We have talked about meristematic tissues also. So this meristematic word is used for cell division. So this is the region where cell keep on dividing repeatedly. So the region of active cell division is known as meristematic activity. Now inside the root, and since the root grows, the root performs so many functions, so there has to be some specialized regions inside the root for each of these functions. Now how will the root grow? For the growth, there has to be some cell division, some new cells has to be formed. Again, those cells has to grow, those cells has to increase in size. Now all these things happen in different areas. Okay, so this meristematic activity region is that region where cell division takes place. So that means by dividing and producing new cells, it adds to the longitudinal growth of the root. So when more and more cells are produced, it actually contributes to the growth of the root. So there will be lengthwise growth of the root. Now the cells in this region are small, they are thin walled, because since they have thin cell walls, therefore they can easily divide, right? Because if they have very thick cell walls, they will not be able to divide. So they have got very thin walls, they have dense protoplasm, and then they actively keep on dividing to form new and new cells. And that is why if you look at this region, it actually is trying to show that cell division. You see small dot-like structures, it is portraying the small cells. Talking about the region of elongation, it is now in the region of meristematic activity, cells are formed. Now these cells which are formed, they need to grow. So they need to elongate. So this is the region where rapid elongation and enlargement of cells will take place. So it lies just above the meristematic region. So this was your meristematic region and this is the elongation region. So here the cells will actually start elongating. So the cells which were produced by the meristematic zone, they will undergo rapid elongation here. Therefore, what will happen with that elongation? Elongation is nothing but increase in length. So as a result, the length of the root will also increase. Now you would have observed that if you plant a small plant in your garden, you will see and you observe the same plant after a couple of months. What do you see? The length of the stem increases, the length of the root also increases. So how does that increase in length happens? It is nothing, it's not a magic, right? So how will that increase happen? That increase happens firstly because of cell division. More and more new cells have to be formed, and those cells which are formed, they also need to elongate, they need to increase in size, which in turn result in increase in length of the root. Correct? Okay, let us look at. So as I said, it is responsible for lengthwise growth of the root. So we have covered three parts. Root cap, which is just for the protection of the root tip. Meristematic region, where more and more cells will be formed by cell division. Region of elongation, where the cells which were formed in the meristematic region will elongate, which in turn will result in lengthwise growth of the root. The next one is the region of maturation. Now the cells were produced, cells have elongated. Now the question is, the cells also need to mature. Now why do you want the cells to be matured? Because if the cells are not matured, how will they again form new cells? I mean, the cells have to get matured so that they in turn again become capable of producing new cells. So you need cells to mature. So this is the region where the cells will differentiate and the cells will mature. Now what will happen once they mature? The cells will mature and they will differentiate to form tissues. Because these cells, as we have spoken about all this long time back, that inside the body, the cell is the basic unit of every living organism. But in case of multicellular organisms, cells group together to form tissues. So there are a group of cells which perform a specific function. So they are called as tissues. So when will this differentiation of cells into tissues take place? This will happen only once the cells mature. For example, in case of human beings, we have different types of tissues, right? Like we have nervous tissue, we have muscular tissue, we have connective tissue. So what is this connective tissue? All similar type of cells with a similar type of function, they group together to form connective tissue. Right? Now these cells have to be mature cells in order to group together to specialize, to perform a specialized function. So this is the region where cells will become mature. They will differentiate to form several tissues. Now what are the examples of tissues in case of plants? We have also discussed about plant tissues in our junior classes, right? Examples of plant tissues would be xylem, phloem, epidermis, cortex. These are all examples of plant tissues. So now once these cells will mature here in the region of maturation, then they will form different types of tissues. Right? Now some of these tissues which we are talking about, some of these epidermal tissues, epidermis is the outer layer of tissue. So some of these epidermal tissues will form the root hairs. As you can see in this picture, root hairs are nothing but thin thread-like structures coming out like this from the outer layer of the root. So this outer layer is nothing but the epidermis tissue. So some epidermis tissue will form the root hair. So these are fine and delicate thread-like structures. They ensure absorption of water and minerals from the soil. So since they are very thin, they are very good in absorbing stuffs. So they will absorb water and minerals. And these root hairs will help in absorbing water and minerals, which in turn will be transported to the rest of the plant, which will help in their growth and development. So these 5 are the most important parts of the root, which together perform so many functions. So let us have a quick recap. This is the root cap, which is just for the sake of protection of the root tip, because root tip is the place where so many plant hormones are produced. So the root tip needs to be protected. So root cap ensures that protection. Then we have the region of meristematic activity or the meristematic zone, where cell division occurs and new cells are formed. Now these cells will then go to the region of elongation and they will start elongating or increasing in length. As a result, the length of the root will also increase. Then these elongated cells will go to the region of maturation, where the cells will mature and differentiate to form specific tissues. So one of these tissues would be the epidermal tissue. Some of the epidermal tissue will form thin thread-like structures called root hairs, which actually help in absorbing water and minerals from the soil. So these are the different parts of a root. So I hope this is clear to all of you. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more videos, attempt free online test, get free study material, find tutors and mentors. Thank you once again.